The curriculum did not birth itself.
Okay.
It was set in place by certain people. So you will see some universities there that will tell you, don't ask too many questions in class, or if a lecturer asks a question, or you get into exam, just give the lecturer precisely what they did. Forget what you learn in school. This is real life.
Good day, everyone. It is nice meeting you again. So today's episode is going to be a very interesting one. We're going to be discussing is school a scam or educational system a scam? And today's episode we invited someone very interesting. This person has been a guide, he has been a mentor, he has been a big brother to me. And to be sincere, we had several discussions concerning this educational system, and that is why I am inviting him on board. His name is Favor Fatumbi. He's a graduate of University of Ibadan, Department of Adult Education. So we can say he's an educationist. He's also did his master's in University of Ibadan, industrial education to be specified. So not to waste much of our time, let's move into the video. It's good to have you on board, sir.
Thank you.
It's really a privilege to have you on board. So today we're going to be discussing something very important, which is school a scam or the educational system a scam? Now,
Okay.
the first question I am going to be asking is that does our educational system create thinkers or just followers?
Okay. I think if we are going to actually fully talk about that, I'm going to have to go through a little bit of a long story so you understand. You see, education is not something that stands exclusively on its own. Education is actually one of the apparatus of the society to be able to build that which the society wants to build. But the purpose of education has also shifted over centuries. The main purpose of education is a system of helping the upcoming generation to understand what the society wants to do, the goals of the society, its values, so that they can come of age and take over and take the society to where it wants to go. That was the initial purpose of education. But you see, when the French Revolution happened in the 18th century, education changed. Because the industrial revolution that happened in France then, it brought about a new economic system where people had to learn how to use machines to be able to work to earn a living. From that point, education became a kind of tool. Instead of building society, it's now a tool to get jobs. In many places, there are still particular countries that have been deep enough to understand that beyond just the economic advantage, there is also the part of society building that education is supposed to play.
Yes.
So they structure their education to accommodate that. So the real problem may not always be whether education is the problem. It is whether it was structured to deliver the appropriate results.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And also, I will ask you this question. So when people say school is scam, are they reacting to the cost irrelevant or to the unmet expectation?
Okay. Well, nobody likes to waste resources. So everyone expects a return on investment.
Yes.
And most children who go to school, they don't understand the value yet. It's the parents who are sending them to school who choose to understand, except for those who are sponsoring themselves at a mature age. But just like I said before, the reason why many people go into education, it's because they are trying to see it as an investment so they can get a good job later in future, which is a good thing to think about. But you see, when you also want to make such an investment, just like there are bad investments, maybe in the stock market or other things like that, in terms of education, you can also make a bad investment if you do not understand the long-term benefits. So someone who decides, okay, they said people go to school, get a certificate, and you get a job. And all he thinks about is just go to school, pass your exams. He will get out and discover that there are things you are not taught in school that you still need to succeed. So he's not exactly getting the return he's expecting on his investment as much as he is expecting. And the problem was because his mindset was not proper. So it may not be the cost of education that is the problem. The expectations that were not met may not be the fault of the education. It may be the fault of the person going through education.
Should we not say that because the truth is that some of our curriculum do not bridge the gap between the reality out there and what we are going through in school. Imagine a computer science students still using paper to write coding for
Have you
exams.
asked a mechanical engineering graduate to repair your car before?
So it's very interesting and funny to have graduates out there. You call yourself a mechanical engineer, you can't even repair a car. You call yourself an electrical engineer, you can't even, or you don't even know what is positive or negative wire. So should we say that it's our curriculum that is not feeding that gap, or what?
Okay. I am a kind of person that I like to trace things down to the original source. The curriculum did not birth itself.
Okay.
It was set in place by certain people.
Yes.
I will say the fault started from the faulty vision of those who established the educational system. Because if you do a kind of comparative study of different systems across the world, you will come to understand that many of the leading countries are not as stringent with the educational system as we think.
Yes.
For instance, China is one of the leading countries nowadays.
Yes.
The number of Chinese people that go to universities as we think is not so many. If you check the percentage of your population that go, they are not so many. Germany is also a leading technological country. Do you know that Germany actually teaches people much more outside the four walls of the classroom too? But here in Nigeria, your BSc now is the equivalent of your WAEC. You carry BSc in hand now. You are basically just like someone that just finished secondary school.
Actually,
it's because the vision determines the curriculum and how the curriculum will be built and how impactful it will be. So many people who are in charge of Nigerian educational system only sees it as, okay, give them a curriculum where they can pass exams and be able to, maybe think and reason, know some things. But they are not giving that vision to the point where they want to be leaders on a global standard. Is why you notice that when you go to study in schools outside the country, number one, the delivery system is even different.
Yes.
Let's compare university education in America and in Nigeria. You have lecturers in universities in Nigeria who cannot confidently dictate notes to university students. Number one, dictating notes to a university student is already a false standard.
Yes, it's a faulty system.
Now, they still can't do that because there are university students that cannot spell certain words and they graduated school. That's one. Now, when you get to those places in America, you notice lecturers don't come to regurgitate knowledge.
Yes.
They come to actually inspire people to think.
Yes.
So the curriculum is one thing. The method of delivery is another. All of them are shaped by the vision of those who established the system. So if we are really going to trace it, it is not the curriculum that is faulty, even though, yes, the curriculum has a fault. Yes. The fault starts from the leaders who bettered the system.
Now, should we not say that let me just use the term allegedly a conspiracy theory. Should we say that our curriculum was intentionally drawn or created like that, not to create thinkers? Because if we are to look at how Nigerian system is, the economic system, we hardly have good leaders. Our educational system hardly give us good leaders. Many of us have to go out there to retrain ourselves before we can actually become good leaders. So should we say our government are intentionally doing that, or what?
Well, one thing you can never speak to authoritatively is the mindset of people. You can only judge their actions. You cannot exactly declare what they were thinking. So me, I would say, I can't say they did it intentionally. It could have been out of error, out of ignorance, or many other things. But just like you said, truly, the design of our curriculum is not producing thinkers. It is producing workers, people who take instruction rather than people that think. And I would say the error may actually come from culture. Because the African culture is one where the young do not lead. It is the old that lead. So they train the young to follow the instructions of the old. And they made that thing enter the educational system as well. It's the same reason why in lecture, you will see some universities that will tell you, don't ask too many questions in class. Yes. Or if a lecturer asks a question or you get it to exam, just give the lecturer precisely what they gave you. And it's because the lecturer has let them know that this is what I want from you. I don't want your creative thinking. I just want you to tell me what I told you. Because they are training the young to follow the instructions of the old. Yeah. But the problem that creates is that innovation is given to the young. The old are given for maintenance of a system already built.
Yes.
Innovation and progress is given to the young.
Yes.
So there must always be a balance. The old will give the wisdom for maintenance and stability, but the young will be the one to push the boundaries. But when you teach the young that it is only the old that know, you kill that innovation in them right from school. So you see that it's not necessarily the curriculum, the culture of the school, the culture of the society. And those, there is formal education, there is informal education.
Yes.
Informal education is more powerful than formal. You can learn some things in school and the prevalent societal culture will still kill what you learned. It's why we do civic education in school. They will tell you, democracy, democratic principles, electoral fairness is good for the country and all the rest. It is those same teachers that are teaching you that will spearhead electoral review.
I actually had a discussion with one of my friends that just graduated from law. So he said something. He said it is the same lecturers that are telling you to come out and advocate as a law student. They are the one that will sit on the Senate seat to destroy your life.
Exactly. So if the society telling you forget what you learn in school, this is real life. And everybody chooses to first give real life attention because school is temporary.
Yes, actually.
I say this thing many times that as much as it may look like a kind of, what do we call it now? Correction or condemnation of our government, but it's a reality. You see people who had academic achievements, no applause, no acknowledgement from government. But some people that just went along an entertainment competition will win millions. And money is a form of power. It gives stability and security. Everybody wants it.
Yes.
So everybody will inevitably go where the money is. So you can't encourage people to take school seriously if you don't give rewards. A system of reward is what encourages people. We call it reinforcement in education.
Yes.
So you place the rewards in something outside school, but you are asking people to go to school.
Actually.
NULT, like what do they call them? Cab drivers earn more than professors.
That's true.
And you can't become a professor. In fact, the youngest you'll be is like 45. If you are a very, very serious in Nigeria, you'll be 45 before you can be a professor. Join cab drivers now. Before 10 years, you are making a lot of money.
Actually.
So what encouragement? You see now that the curriculum can be fine. It is the system behind the curriculum that matters the most. Because engineering now, you can teach someone engineering, he graduated with engineering, but the way you taught him is not thinking of maybe creating new engineering products for the country to export. He's just looking for, let's say there are even mechanical engineering students now that their IT is done at local mechanic workshops.
Yes.
Because there's no practicals for them in school.
Actually.
Some of them cannot even repair a car. Is that where we now want them to start thinking of creating new cars to compete with global cars? Are you seeing? So the system, the society itself has its own fault. The educational system is simply a reflection of society. It's not the educational system itself that is to blame.
All right. Looking at this, you actually touched the point that I want to see now. I want to ask you a question. Okay. Now, the society is actually the reflection of our educational system. So this leads me to this question: should mentorship be allowed in our educational system?
Well, every kind of education is mentorship in the sense. Mentorship is you showing the young the path to get to where they need to. It means somebody who has already walked that path is showing them the path to be able to get to that place. So whether you are talking about the formal education system or even the informal ones like on-the-job training, because that one is not necessarily strictly formal, even though it's still in the formal sphere, so to say.
Yes.
All of it is a form of mentorship. But now, the advantage of mentorship is that mentorship often goes beyond written curriculums. It comes much more with practical wisdoms. But the value and what will I call it now? The effectiveness of that structure, the results that structure will bear, also will be dependent on the culture of the mentor. Because if the mentor is a corrupt person, they will only mentor corruption.
Actually.
So you see what I'm saying? Sometimes systems are innocent. It is the human corruption behind, the human error that causes the problem. So if we say mentorship should come in to maybe help the system where the system is failing in the formal education, if the mentors are also not high-thinking people, there will be a problem. And usually this is where I believe changes need to start from. People often think, high achievers do not belong to schools.
Yes.
That's the first problem. And that's where Nigeria begins to have a fault. We set the standard low for those who are going to be entrusted with the teaching and the mentoring of the young. Those who can achieve high, we send them into, the industries, which is it's not a Nigerian problem alone, actually. It is popular across the world. You hear this saying, those who can't do should teach. But there is a way that even though you are leaving the teaching to those who could not go that far, you should still raise the standard for them. The problem you have in Nigeria is Nigeria now beats the standard down. So you see that education now has the lowest cutoff in universities, as if education is one cheap course. And you wonder how you produce. So even if you're going to say, okay, those who can't succeed on their own in research should go teach, you will raise that standard for them so that they will know, even if you are being sent here, you don't now have the right to become complacent and lazy. It is still a place to buckle up. There should be certain kinds of, what we call it now, standards, embargoes. You go below this, you are not even qualified. It's not that you now say, okay, you didn't qualify for anything else, go here. So if we are creating mentorship systems, it has to be mentorship that comes from a standard. Corruption must be removed. If not, you will only reproduce. Mentorship is a reproduction system. If it's a corrupt mentor, he will reproduce corruption.
All right. I will also take this conversation into a new dimension, and because I had experience volunteering while in my university days, and I've met people who are intelligent in the field, but in the class they are not so much intelligent. That's all right. So how do we measure intelligence beyond grade?
Okay. Thank God you're a graduate of education yourself. You should understand the three domains of learning. We have the cognitive learning, the affective, and the psychomotor. And you understand that the three of them have different results and different delivery systems. Now, there are some people that it could be based on how they grew up or how their brain is wired. It is a little bit more difficult for them to comprehend things cognitively, but they are much better at hands and skills. So you see some people that in arts and crafts, they are excellent, but tell them to start writing exam, there's a problem. It does not make them dull, because the person who learned the theory in class will need to also go do that practical. So there's a way that everyone must learn to balance, but everybody has strengths in different areas too. There are still some people that both the cognitive and the psychomotor is not their own domain, but you see that affective domain, they prosper there. Because affective domain deals with hearts, emotions, the mindset. They know how to think well. They can become model citizens. They apply it to their life. They really change by what they learn. But skills, and that's why different industries are actually produced. Some industries require the cognitive learning. There are other industries that require the psychomotor learning. And yet there are other industries that require the affective learning. So everybody ought to study themselves to know their own strengths and go for the course that suits their strengths. But here's not the problem. Nigerian parents no go gree. They will not agree.
If you are not a lawyer, if you are not a doctor,
if you are not an engineer,
if you are first class, if you
are not.
Because
and you see why I say society is the problem. If you get to places outside the country, you study the child, know the strength of the child, and that's how you lead the child. Is why Nigeria started something like technical universities, polytechnics. Those are places that are practical. They may not necessarily be as cognitive as universities. That was the end goal. But now, everything has... You see someone that went to technical university, that he will be feeling inferior to someone that graduated from the university. And they are not.
And I think I have noticed something. Once you, in terms of practical, the polytechnic and technical students are much more
practical in the good ones.
In the good ones, yes, in the good ones. But if you sometimes you will sit down with university students, how can we do this? How can we? It's just a theory, the textbook, the postulation. They are just giving you the formula. But let's bring this thing to the field. Let's apply it. They can't do that.
And it's because there is an imbalance. Because a university is supposed to be a balanced education, theory plus practical. See, engineering is where we see the most. Do you know that the core sciences, the ones that do laboratory work, they are worse? Because there are places where there is no laboratory equipment. How do you train people? Let's say, for instance, now, maybe they went to study biochemistry or medical lab sciences. How do you say someone graduated without proper monitoring and evaluation on their skills in the lab. So what are they going to do outside? Is why many times now Nigeria relies much more on this mentorship you mentioned. People just look at it like you graduated. Okay, if you try, you go to first class. It shows that at least your brain has the capacity to retain information. They now start your retraining all over. Whereas it's supposed to be that the places of work should go to the university where the young are being mentored. The problems they need to solve now is what they will give those ones, maybe final year students. That's one of the things Germany does. It's a very wonderful system I've seen. In Germany, a company will write to a department that is related to their firm, and then they will tell the department, these are the problems we have. If it's a marketing company, a tech company, or whatever, these are our problems. We need innovative solutions. The professors will take that as the practicals they will use in class, their assignments. They will tailor all their educational experiences for their students in bringing solution to that thing. It's why we have word problems in mathematics, right? Application to real life. Yes. So they use that for their students. And as the students are thinking, they are noting. The one who comes with a solution that works is has automatically gained the job. And in that job, it's not going to be a job where it's just because it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Yes. The student gets a job, the company gets a solution. But here in Nigeria, you who don't graduate yourself, they will first have to start retraining you because what you learned in school is far.
Far beyond it. I think I can attest to that because I've had opportunity to interview people, I had opportunity to be in interviews, and I've had opportunity to volunteer for some NGOs. And sometimes the wide gap is just the gap is just too much. It's too much.
It's not even just practical gap. Thinking gap. It's
too much. Sometimes I look at it. Do we truly have that capacity to even lead this nation to the next level as a youth? Let's not leave that.
That was another discussion.
So the last question I'm going to be asking what solution do you think we can have in order for us to have an educational system that can provide economic intelligence, political intelligence, and produce good people?
Well, I don't want to say some statements that will sound pessimistic or like a defeatist mentality. But you see, when you analyze the problems Nigeria is going through, you may think Nigeria is unique until you study some other countries that are older than Nigeria and you realize every one of them went through a period similar to what Nigeria is going through. At least Nigeria is about 60 years old now, 60 something. By the time America was 60 something, America had never gone as far as Nigeria has gone. We may say that's because, Nigeria is in much more of a modern age and all the rest of that. But America went through something similar to what Nigeria is going through. And the solutions America implemented that changed their own, if Nigeria can learn from there, it will help. Is still one of these, we have a lot of political science students.
Yes. Don't let us even start that. Don't let us even start that because that is another problem.
Apologies to political science. It is well. Some people will say useless courses you can study in Nigeria, political science. How will it not be useless when they don't listen? People study political science. They are the ones that should become advisors. They will rather take advisors from their hometown. And people you now see students also having that mind in school. So the one who got admitted to study political science, he feels that's just the course he could enter. He has already lost interest. He has left his innovative mind away from classroom. He just wants to pass and move on. And that's where problems start. So now, if you are going to look at some of the solutions that those countries actually did to improve themselves, Nigeria can learn from there too. But everything has to first start from the leadership. The general goals of the country itself must change. A sense of patriotism must be introduced. Because without patriotism, even if there is political will, effectiveness will not work. How many decades has Nigeria been shouting free and fair election? Has our election ever been free and fair? Because there is no patriotism. People are selfish, looking for their own gain. They are not thinking of the collective good. Until we get to that point where everybody can agree to work together for the collective good, there will always be people sabotaging what we are trying to build. So that's where we must start from. And there are now systems you can now put in place that even if some people are not yet ready to learn, that's why if there is one institution we can start this kind of, what we call it now, repair from, let's start from law enforcers. If law enforcement works well, everybody eventually will toe the line. Let's say there are punishments now, constitutionally instituted and legally enforced punishments for corruption. Even if anybody wants to be corrupt, they will think twice.
Yes.
So if you were supposed to give so money to so school to improve education and you wanted to sit on it and embezzle it, if there's punishment for you, it will make you think twice. So from there, the real innovations that should take place will be taking place. If there were standards for accomplishments, evaluations in the workplace, it will also help. Because there are government workers in Nigeria that are redundant. They can be there for 20 years without any notable contribution. And it's because there is no punishment for that. If there was a law that if you are a redundant worker, 5 years is the maximum they can send you. But in Nigeria, everybody likes government job. Why? They call it job what? Job security. You can never be fired. Whether you are redundant or productive. That will be the first thing you notice developed countries do. That you are a government worker does not mean you are redundant. You must be at the top of your game. You must bring innovative thinking. So if we want to change the educational system, it means we put people in charge who, number one, are not allowed to be corrupt. Number two, they have no choice but to be innovative. That's why I said it starts from leadership. We change the leadership structure. When that is changed, they will do the right thing, and everybody within the system will follow suit. But in this Nigeria, where we say, even if a politician is corrupt, we never use recall system
Even
in
if we are
Nigeria.
the ones who heal the corrupt politician.
No, some will not even hear. They will just complain on Twitter. How does your complaint on Twitter change anything? Carry out a by-election, recall the corrupt senator home. The governor impeach them. President, they impeached Donald Trump, not because he did something wrong, but because they just didn't agree with his policies. In Nigeria, you will know a president embezzled money. You will do nothing. So that's where we have to start from, making sure we hold leaders accountable. You see why I said it is in politics, because it's politics that deals with those things at those levels. Although, just like political science will also tell you, you must separate politics from administration, which is another problem we have in Nigeria. People are appointed to positions not because they are qualified, but because they are liked.
Yes.
All the ministers of education we've had so far in the last maybe 15 years that I can remember, none of them is a graduate or a professor of education. I think this man, Professor is he Isaac or Israel Adewale, was a former VC of UI.
Yes.
Okay, he became Minister of Health, I believe. But who was that Minister of Education at that time before this Malam Adamu Adamu?
I think it's like the last time I think Malam Adamu.
Malam Adamu Adamu was a journalist. He's not a trained educator. He may have ideas, but he does not understand the system. And the special advisors that are supposed to follow, they go still pick people where they like. So until we hold leaders accountable, that's where change can start from. Just complaining or trying to change things at a level, you need to go to the roots. And the roots starts from the vision of the leaders.
Thank you very much, sir, for this. I am really glad, and I hope our viewers there have heard and they've listened to this, and you've learned a lot of things. And I believe you also have some things to say. Kindly drop it on the comment section, and also do not forget to like and subscribe. One word for our viewers, how this?
Well, I think I will only like to drop a word of encouragement, because in the present scenario in Nigeria, it is easy to lose hope. It's easy to believe that nothing can change. But you see, there was this statement, was it with Buhari, that says change begins with me. It's actually true. If you can allow yourself to actually be the change the world needs, I promise you that with time, you will see people of like minds. And as we begin to multiply, we'll be able to increase our influence and eventually gain control and bring forth innovation. So please don't lose hope. Continue to go.
All right. Thank you once again. I really do appreciate for honoring this invitation.
Thank you for bringing me as well.
Thank you very much.
I've enjoyed it.
Our viewers out there, do have a nice day. And do not forget, like, subscribe, and drop your comments. And also share to your different platforms. God bless you.